Happy days and welcome to this week's Extreme Set Mind series with the amazing Boom Lean Anywhere, myself holding up the back here. And here we are, this week's subject, Lee, and it is another one that's close to my heart. And here it is personal money different to business money? And let me just touch on that a little bit more. So many business owners become too personally attached to the money decision making in their business. And this comes from two ways. One, I just lost a 60K invoice because that person I invoiced took the invoice too personally and didn't calculate as a business transaction. And so many in business, in small business world, get emotionally attached to money decision making from a personal place, not a business place. How do we separate that? And this, I feel, is growing more and more because we are enhancing relationships instead of knowing where the borderline is.
Yeah, it's a good question, but this could be, this could be very easily answered in a few seconds. Yeah. It's business, not personal. That's it, done. Really? Well, what does that mean? How does that transcribe? Right. So, right. Business is ROI. Yeah. Return on investment. So when we're in business, it's not personal. It's supposed to be about an outcome, and the profit we get from that outcome, we utilize either. So the money that makes money makes more money. The money makes more money, and so on, and it keeps going. But what happens is that people, egos get involved, emotions get involved, thoughts get involved. Yeah. So business is clear agreements, clear landmarks, back to sort of contracts or different things. Like when it's personal, I feel this, I think this, I believe this. That's personal. Where business, especially if you take it up to the corporate level, it's all done on systems and process and communication frameworks. HR's there for the emotions and the feelings, the physical and the emotional feelings. So,
do you think there's, the ego money in the SME world is basically the most corrupt, I'm going to say, decider to business failure?
Yeah, you can look at it that way, but you can look at it another way is your emotional level of autonomy will determine your financial success level.
Oh, wow.
So it's how business is quite simple, I think. Yeah? And what I mean by simple is it has no feelings involved in it. Now, none of yours, so it's not personal, it's business. But then you've got to navigate the world of other people's, and especially sort of if you're in the service industry, so say hospitality, restaurants, different things like that. You're normally not like chefs are quite passionate, so now you've got the chef's passion getting in the way, but that's a feeling, that's their pride, that's their spirit feeling, their spirit energy. Obviously it's a service industry, so people get tired, and they've got to put that happy face on. So you've got a waitress or a waiter turning up at the table, and how they express themselves will determine how good a review they get, a TripAdvisor or how big the tip's going to be. So, and managing their emotional autonomy. So you might have a brilliant waitress or a brilliant waiter, and they can manage. They can express themselves at, say, an authentic level. So they might be like good in that service industry. So it means they can manage their autonomy in that environment. Put them in another environment, and they won't manage their autonomy because they know what to do. They know the chef. They know the chef's bad on a Wednesday night, whatever. And they know the terrain so they can navigate through it, but they're only good in that environment. An entrepreneur isn't like that, see. An entrepreneur has to be able to clone and go and take that skill and put it automatically in another area. Yeah. So it's a bit like this. If you heard it in musical instruments, can you play the guitar? I can play the guitar. Doesn't mean you can play the piano. But it means you should be able to read music or play it by ear. That's the skill that's universal. Yeah. And too many people confuse, let's say, for instance, I get it a lot. I get it a lot, and I have to. There's loads of ways I would be triggered in what I do. So I'll take it this way. So I'll talk about me rather than assessing and judging others. So take it into networking. I connect you to Frank. Frank and I go back a number of years. Yeah. So I've transferred my respect that Frank has for me, my trust, my ability. So Frank has an assessment of me. So I say, Paul's a good guy. And it's not just he's a good guy. There's years of character and everything. So Paul automatically gets elevated up in Frank's mind. Yeah. So now Paul goes off and does whatever he's doing with Frank. And then Paul refers Frank to say Amen. Right? Nothing wrong with that, you think. But there's actually something very wrong with that. Because I connected Paul with Frank, and for Frank for Paul. Whatever comes up after that, the etiquette of networking, Paul should have the awareness to go, all right, Eamon might be good for Frank, or Frank might be good for Eamon. What Paul should do is come back to me and discuss that illusion, that thought process, that belief, and go, because logically, if Lee knows Eamon and Paul knows Lee knows Eamon, and Paul only knows Frank because Lee knows Frank, then there must be a reason why Lee has not networked Eamon to Frank.
Yeah.
Because so let's take it this way. I've networked you to Frank. You and Frank get on really well, developing a relationship. But bear in mind, you're developing a relationship built on my relationship. So, for example, you go away on holiday and you're in Spain, and you're in a bar getting a drink, and the bloke goes, or the lady behind the bar goes, "Where you from?" You're going, "From Cardiff." And that. All right. Oh, you're from the UK. All right. A good friend of mine from the UK, Lee. I know. Do you know Lee Tunny Ware? I know it's a big English. Oh yeah, I know Lee. Lee's a good mate of mine. We go back years. The relationship you're going to have with the bar person or the bar owner, because you know me, or they know me, it's going to be solidified very quick. Everybody hears it that way, yeah? But you never guess, I met your mate, Lee, when I was on holiday, and I had nothing but good things. Oh, John, yeah, right. So hear it that way. So now I network you to Frank. Frank, you network Frank to Eamon. Eamon networks Frank to Bert. Bert, I know all of them. They're all in my ecosystem. As soon as one of those, if at all, makes a mistake, who do you think Frank's going to come back to? You?
No, you.
And whose relationship have you damaged? Whose character have you damaged? Yours, Eamon's, Bert's, or?
It would be the relationship that you had, the trust that you had.
Right. So when we take it back to awareness, there's an ecosystem. There's somebody that has the relationship and somebody that wants a relationship, or somebody that's developing a relationship. The person that has the relationship and the character, is built on that emotional attainment, being able to manage a relationship, a business relationship at a high level. When you put somebody in the ecosystem that isn't emotionally, psychologically at that level, you're elevating them out of an ecosystem that might be grade Z to grade A.
Yeah.
And they're missing so much. Where if you came back to me and said, well, look, I was thinking Eamon might be a good fit for Frank, This is what I was thinking. It's a good idea, Paul. I'm not sure if Eamon's ready for that yet. Oh, why is that, Lee? Because I've got a good relationship with Eamon. I know this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. And because of that, the relationship might be the right relationship, but the timing's wrong. So it's not just the emotional. It's like right time, right place, right conversation. Right time, right place, right introduction, right conversation. And that speeds things up. What slows things down is when the wrong relationship's made and it's not developed with the right communication framework. If it's developed from hopes, dreams, and aspirations and opportunities, which is what most entrepreneurs do, then they're caught in the illusion of what's going to happen, not in the agreement of what will.
Wow. I get it. And let me share something quickly. I know we're going to bounce over time a bit, but that's mirrored something that's happened in my life. I'm part of your community, the ECI community that you very much lead up there. I met someone in there in that community, but actually wasn't a member, but looked like they were a member in that community. I went in there. I trusted that because of their claim of ECI, and that burnt me for 60K.
Well, it's a bit like this, and just on the last bit here. I grew up in a community in Ireland, wouldn't know it by my accent. But Ireland obviously had a lot of political upheaval going back, and so the families in this area, whether they're like this, but there's a certain community vibe because their family history goes back. My family in this village and surrounding it goes back about 300 years.
Wow.
So it's not just time, it's the character of that family and the families they bonded with. So something like Kirahina and our families go back 3 generations.
Wow.
And our relationships are built on relationships that were beyond trust, because if the wrong word was said, you could be deported or hung because of the wrong word or the wrong action. So if I said to you, I didn't like this, or I don't like Lord such and such, that could put me in America or Australia or hung.
Wow.
Because disrespect is sometimes just saying that you don't like something. Because if you look at it like, say, monarchs or lords or different things like that, that's why you have like treason laws or different things like that. So, for example, you can murder somebody, but a king or a queen can have them executed. There's a big difference in language.
Yeah.
There's also depends how far you want to go with it. A king is a king. Well, listen to this one. I'll leave you with this cliffhanger. A king is a king, but is also a sire. Why the two?
Wow.
And in the law, in UK law, there's a law that the king could sire your bride on the night of your wedding night.
Wow, that's just crazy. That's even in today's vocabulary.
So the level of agreements, are they by somebody else's ego or control, or are they agreed? Agreement means there is no emotional loss of value. Now, if you haven't got the awareness of it, that's a different thing. But if it's a law, or if it's controlled, or a policy, a procedure, and you're being controlled by that, that means you're being manipulated, persuaded, obligated, which isn't an agreement. But if it's what you want to do and what I want to do, we agree and we agreed. Otherwise, you're doing it for the reward, but you're only doing it and biting your tongue. Because you don't like me in the way I do things, but you like what I produce. But then once you get what I produce, you're gone by the wayside. Anyway, we both got to take. We both got 10 o'clock.
Thank you ever so much. I'll see you next week, and bye for now.
Bye for now, my friend.